It's like a report card and a mission statement rolled into one. Tomorrow night, the president delivers his fifth State of the Union address. We're going to have live coverage here on RNN and FiOS 1, and we start at 9 p.m. But just what is the State of the Union? It's a fair question. And what should we expect from the president tomorrow night? Let's bring Andrew in with a preview.
Rich, the state of our union is strong. That's not me saying that. That's what all presidents usually say during the address. Expect nothing different tomorrow night. But there really are some signs of optimism the president can point to tomorrow. As for the pessimists out there, many of them are pointing to Washington itself and the ongoing political dysfunction in D.C. So which view will the president focus on tomorrow? It may be the question at the White House tonight.
As Tuesday night's speech approaches, you have to wonder what is on the mind of President Obama. Will he be in legacy mode? The State of the Union comes just weeks after his second inaugural and his push for progressive policies. Will it be, as some are predicting, all about the economy, the issue most important to voters? Or will it be a speech of political calculation focused on what he can and wants to get through Congress? Knowing his time is already running out, with countdowns to the 2014 midterms and 2016 presidential elections already underway. The president begins his second term with a 52% approval rating, a positive not uncommon for second-term starts, with only 4 demo groups showing majority disapproval: seniors, white voters, independents, and of course, Republicans. Making the president's numbers even stronger, the disdain people have for Congress. Just 14% of voters approve of Congress's job performance, and negatives for the entire GOP are at 4-year highs. So just what is the State of the Union the president will report on Tuesday night? On the economy, optimism may be sprouting. The Dow is flirting with 14,000, the S&P is at a 5-year high, the NASDAQ at a 12-year peak. Unemployment numbers appear to be steady or falling. Even the housing market is beginning to show signs of life. The president can also look overseas for positives to report, the Iraq War becoming a memory as Afghanistan winds down, even with lingering questions about Benghazi and drone attacks. Early reports indicate the president will focus primarily on jobs, the economy, and the middle class Tuesday night. Obama hit those subjects often on the campaign trail last year and emphasized them to congressional Democrats last week. But new stimulus is unlikely, if not dead in the water, and a new top-end tax hike is now law. So the president's push on the economy may be aimed more at Congress and a trio of fiscal fights laying in wait. The fight over $85 billion in automatic sequester cuts, which hit March 1st, the federal budget, the current one expires March 27th, and the debt ceiling, which has now been pushed back to mid-May. Republicans seem intent on contesting them all and demanding spending cuts as concession. And then there are the issues, the ones no one can predict, like scandal, foreign affairs, including Syria and Iran, or an unexpected opening on the Supreme Court. Plus the issues that have been dominating daily debates: gun control, immigration reform, and strengthening healthcare reform. Will the president focus on them Tuesday night? All leading back to the question, just what is on the mind of President Obama? Will the State of the Union be a focus on ideals, on policies he likes and wants? Or will he focus on politics, what he can get passed, and when? Tune in Tuesday at 9 p.m.
So which issues do voters want to hear about tomorrow? According to a new Quinnipiac poll, a third want to hear about the economy. 1 in 5 are focused on the deficit, followed by gun policy, health care, and foreign policy. Immigration only gets 4% of the response from voters, followed only by the environment. Rich?
All right, what's your guess? Does the president do this big vision kind of thing like he talked about in a couple weeks ago at the inauguration, or does he go jobs, jobs, jobs?
I think it's going to be sold in terms of the economy and jobs, jobs, jobs. But here's how immigration reform can help create jobs and boost the economy. Here's how new gun laws may be able to spur on the economy.
How does that work?
Here's how new technologies, that sort of things. Here's how each individual plank of my relatively progressive agenda can aid and further the economy as well. There will be some talk about sequester and budgeting and things like that, but it'll be everything under that one header.
You look at poll numbers, Dom. President's doing better than Republicans here. You would argue, even on the policies he's laid out, they like the idea on immigration, they like the idea on gun control, even on the 4 big bullet points. He's got a choice, I guess. He can look at the audience and say, these guys are holding it all up here, it's me or them, or he can try and, I don't know about reach across the aisle, but he can try and win over the voters with his ideas without attacking the other side. Which way do you think he goes?
The latter, definitely. One, keep in mind his personality. President Obama is not really an in-your-face, let's go to war, combative type official.
More so than 4 years ago, right?
Well, now he's coming around. It's amazing what a final election can do to bring out perhaps your real personality.
Right.
But I think it'll be the latter. Let's face it, no offense to Jessica, but you don't have to attack these guys. All you had to do is get out of the way and let them do their thing. And their poll numbers will continue to go down. He is the president tomorrow night. Jobs, 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 economy. He ran on a platform of, hey, everything's not great, but we're on the road. Don't mess with us now. So now we'll see tomorrow night the continuation of that. That's where he's going to go forward. And that's a winning message with the American people.
From a Republican perspective, what would be the toughest thing the president could say that will put him in a box tomorrow night?
Well, first, I would disagree that the State of the Union is in a strong place right now because we're another quarter away from going back into a recession if we have another negative quarter. But I think he's at a real risk of overplaying his hand right now. There's been a lot of systematic leaks coming out of the White House that are previewing the speech, and by all accounts, it's aggressive, it's partisan. He views his re-election as a referendum on the agenda. He's going to double down on that, and any context of the economy and jobs is going to be through investment spending. It's all spending, which you can tell by the polls is going to be rejected by the American people. So he has a very short window to get through any sort of agenda here. You're seeing things of a bipartisan immigration reform. He's at a huge risk for being too greedy and overplaying his hand. You saw Pelosi the other day on the Sunday morning shows talking about, you know, the fact that, well, we already raised taxes, but now we're going to come back and restructure the loopholes, which was what the Republicans' plan was in the election, and that was rejected then.
Let me ask you, Andrew, to deal with Jessica's point, how long does the president think he has, and how long does history say he has before he becomes almost part of the furniture here with lame duck status?
I figure you're looking around the beginning of next year as the beginning of the end, and I'm sure he's aware of that. Once the calendar starts clicking to 2014, everybody in Washington is going to be focused on the midterms, and everything will go through that filter. And then, of course, after the midterms, it's all the countdown to 2016 and the next presidential election.
I've had to eat so much broccoli for the first 4 years with the economy and all the bad stuff. I want to get to what I want to get to, whether it's immigration reform, whether it's gun control, whether it's climate change, whatever he wants to. You got to think that he says, this is my chance here, and like the rest of them, he cares about legacy.
But he's also a practical guy. I mean, he knows, and we've seen that from the way he's approached it so far. Yes, he wants his legacy to get through, and he knows it may be his last bite at the apple, but he also knows if you bash Republicans over the head, you're going to get exactly the same level of cooperation you had over the first 4 years, which is not much.
But even if you're nice to him, what do you get?
Exactly,
well,
but if you look back, he didn't address the economy in the first 4 years. He took his first major policy initiative was Obamacare. So I think if the inauguration speech was any preview as to what the State of the Union is going to be, it's going to be.
How many times did he ask for a jobs bill? How many times did he ask for stimulus?
His self-proclaimed largest policy initiative was Obamacare, and that is why the economy hasn't recovered to the degree that it should have.
You know, I think there's a perception out there, Dominic, right, that he's trying to convince the room to come either on to his side or to stay with him. Or some say he's just talking to the audience at home. The one issue I think is, and the USA Today did a decent job of this today, they laid out who basically he's got an audience of 4, and I want to see if you agree with this at all. And in laying out who they are, if we could bring that up, guys, he talks more specifically about this is who do you trust. I'm talking about the USA Today cover story, if I could have it. Thank you, guys. Which is really, he's going to be talking to a Supreme Court Justice with Anthony Kennedy. He's going to be talking to Marco Rubio, if you think about it, the senator, obviously from Florida, who's by many accounts here, probably the Republicans' golden child, if you believe Time magazine, their next best hope. You got Dianne Feinstein, who's front and center on the gun issue.
She's further left than Obama is on guns. So,
right,
so
but
can
he's
he
got to
get her on board?
Keep her engaged.
Right.
And then obviously you got Paul Ryan, who may be incentivized if he wants to be the most relevant Republican to be seen as part of whatever final deal that can be worked out in the sequestering issue. Do you buy these names here with all the different issues they're attached to, same-sex marriage on the high court, Kennedy, the swing vote, that he's talking to these people?
Maybe I just don't get it. I'll admit it. But I don't understand how talking to Paul Ryan is going to improve any relationship when you consider how far to the right Mr. Ryan is on the
but
budget.
I think everybody makes a mistake to think he's got to get 200 Republicans. He doesn't have to get 200
Right, he
Republicans.
doesn't.
He's only got to get 50, 60 of them to come along with him and yet make it enough that Democrats will hold their nose and go along. Some Republican wants to emerge out of Congress as relevant, whether it's Cantor, whether it's Ryan, whether it's Boehner, and they got to bring along some group without getting voted out of the power position here. Some Republicans got to have in their mind here, I want to get ahead of this. Immigration's going through. Let me get my name on this. Let me get my name on it.
They are doing it, Richard. And if you look at the makeup of Congress right now, you're going to have a handful of Senate seats that are leaning Republican or could easily go Republican in the midterms. And you have maybe 30 congressional seats that will be up for play. The rest are in solidly Republican districts. They're going to easily win re-election, not because of gerrymandering. So when you look at the makeup of that dynamic, it's going to be very difficult. I guarantee you,
but
he
if I
comes
divide
out
your words
tomorrow.
here, no Republicans got any incentive to meet this president halfway or even part
But
of the way.
they are. If you look, they met him that way on the fiscal cliff, and now they're coming back and saying there's not enough revenue on the table.
Don't be that fiscal cliff like this saying, please, let me meet you halfway across
Did they
the
not
river.
agree to
What
a tax
choice did they have? What were they going to do?
They did it, Richard.
Stop paying paying our bills? They had to do it.
They did it, though, and now they're doing the same thing with immigration. And I guarantee you he comes out tomorrow and tries to vilify Rubio for his plan. I guarantee. Watch.
Paul Ryan, by all accounts, is looking at 2016 as a possible presidential run. Could he win Republican votes by agreeing to work with the White House, or does he only keep his hopes alive for the nomination if he's anti-Obama, anti-White House all the way down on this?
Well, I think it depends on what kind of rhetoric is coming out of the White House. If they're willing to make any substantial deals, if they're coming around now saying, well, we need more revenue increases and more spending, there's no way he's going to go along with that.
I want to jump to a break here. And again, a reminder, everybody, we're going to have complete coverage and be down in D.C. So during the RFL show at 6 o'clock, we'll be talking to them live here with lawmakers in the ramp up to it. And then, of course, tomorrow night, we'll have the State of the Union in its entirety. We're going to come on right before 9 o'clock to set the stage, and then we'll hear from the president. And then after that, we'll get the Republican response from Senator Marco Rubio. We'll bring you that as well, his rebuttal. And then we'll have our panel conversation about what we just heard and where we go from here. Andrew will have live interviews on the Hill. And again, we'll also be bringing you at home into our conversation here. So we'll be reaching out to you on the phone lines and online, getting your take as well. Okay, we jumped to a quick commercial break, but I want you to remember to keep that conversation online. What do you want to hear from the president tomorrow night? We're going to see if your hopes are met with reality when the president sounds off at 9. But before then, make your opinion heard. We'll get to that. When we come back, though, 3 fascinating political stories with 3 big political players representing the present, possible future, and past here of Democratic politics. Bob Menendez here, a scandal in New Jersey. We'll also hear about some of the scuttlebutt in Albany about Governor Cuomo apparently not playing well with others. And believe it or not, Elliot Spitzer wanting to get back in the game. It could be true. Stay with us.